Incoming Member of Parliament Claudius Moncamper queries shares in Joint Central Bank, CBCS. The 40th edition of St. Martin Hennington Regatta officially kicks off on Thursday, March the 5th, 2020. But first up, Minister of Public Health Pamela Gordon-Carty updates the community on COVID-19. Those are the headlines for Wednesday, March the 4th, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me. Now for the details. Minister of VSR, Public Health, Pamela Gordon-Carty, updated the press about COVID-19. The minister answered the various questions and inquiries that she had been getting of where the ministry stands. The minister encourages the public to monitor the situation from official media sites and outlets.
The COVID-19, where there seems to be some questions about where the Ministry of VSR stands, I would like to clarify that to the public. As the AOC has been activated and therefore the COVID-19 has become a national matter, we as the Ministry of Public Health will continue in the background through CPS to inform all the ministries, the public, and our stakeholders on the development and hygiene aspects that we as a country need to continue adhering ourselves to. It's important for us as a whole to continue monitoring and following official sites that will be providing accurate information to the public to continue guaranteeing the safety of the people of St. Martin. Remember, proper hygiene, washing of hands, sneezing, and coughing etiquette are extremely important to contain the spreading of any type of virus, including the COVID-19. Usage of water and soap regularly, and especially after the 5th time of using hand sanitizer, it's extremely important for you to wash your hands with water and soap. Let's make sure we, as a country as a whole, and especially parents, convey this message to our little ones. On a second notice, the Inspectorate will continue conducting its food safety controls and controls at the daycare centers. The Inspectorate had a meeting yesterday with the Association of Daycares, where 38 private established daycares were attended, and also 4 to 5 early childhood stimulation representatives were there. There, they were informed on the different procedures and preventative measures that needs to be taken into account when dealing with the COVID-19. Last but not least, CPS will continue to exercise its role within the entire COVID-19 prevention and informative sessions.
And Prime Minister Mrs. Sylvania Jacobs advised the public to be careful when traveling abroad. She said it would be wise to avoid the clustered areas.
Communicate to the general public that because we are such a small island, that it would be wise for those of us traveling abroad as well from the island to refrain from visiting the cluster areas for the next foreseeable future until we are sure that we have been able to contain. St. Martin is at threat. If we look at the news responses from all around the world, everyone is just, who has not had a case yet, is just waiting to see when it will happen. The only way to completely protect the country would be to shut down our borders completely, and that is not recommended, not by international regulations. And as part of the kingdom, that would require a much further discussion, as travel inside the kingdom really relates to, for instance, for France, French side, St. Bart's, they consider that interior travel. Similarly, for within the Dutch kingdom, any travel between the Dutch Caribbean islands as well as the Netherlands is considered interior travel. So it would be discriminatory to do anything that would be negatively impacting traveling in those areas. However, We are still having discussions on how we can still restrict persons who have been to the cluster areas, or that we can identify that anyone showing symptoms would be necessarily screened.
And in more news out of Cahill, as the Emergency Operations Center, the EOC, has been activated by the government of St. Martin in connection with 2 confirmed cases of COVID-19, the coronavirus, on French St. Martin. Management of St. Martin Medical Center, SMMC, has activated its Outbreak Management Team, OMT, to monitor the situation on a daily basis and hereby informs the general public of the following. While there are no suspected or confirmed cases of COVID-19 on St. Martin, that side, St. Martin Medical Center would like to reiterate the steps to take if you or a family member shows any of the signs of COVID-19, which include fever, cough, and shortness of breath, stated Dr. Felix Holliday, St. Martin Medical Center's director and chairman of the Outbreak Management Team, the OMT. In case you develop these symptoms, it is of utmost importance that you first call your family doctor instead of going there or coming to St. Martin Medical Center in person. You should also call your family doctor if you have been in close contact with a person known to have COVID-19 or if you have traveled from an area with widespread or ongoing community spread of COVID-19. The internist at the St. Martin Medical Center, Dr. Sameh Naderi, says that we are lucky thus far that there are no confirmed cases of COVID-19 on the Dutch side of the island. But not everybody transmits the virus or gets sick.
Luckily, we don't have any confirmed case or suspect case at the Dutch St. Martin to start with. So this is a disease which we call that zoonotic, which means that between human being and the animals, the transmission takes place from animal to the human being. So also, once the human is infected, the virus could be transmitted to the other humans. But not everybody transmit the virus to other people, and also not everybody gets sick. Once the person gets infected, it takes 1 up to 14 days before the symptoms appears. So once the symptom appear, then there is a chance of transmission between the humans. In the majority of the cases, the virus cause no symptoms at all. So almost 80% of the population that gets the virus will not develop any symptoms at all. So that's a good thing. If a person doesn't have symptoms, the chance of transmission is extremely low to start with. So, but still, we want to have our preparedness, and that is in case if the transmission gets more, or in case if the patients are getting sick. So how sicker is the patient, how more will be the risk of transmission. So to protect the other population, we have to be very alert, right? What are the symptoms? Basically, the symptoms are just like flu. At the beginning, it was very mild symptoms. Later, it could develop to cough, runny nose, tiredness, fever, of course, in some cases, shortness of breath. And 1 in 6 patients with coronavirus, with this type of virus, they're developing severe symptoms. Those patients need admission. So as long as we are staying with a good hand hygiene, good protection, avoiding contact with patients who are sick, then the transmission will not take place. And whenever a person gets sick of any respiratory symptoms, such as fever, cough, sneezing, or runny nose, advises to stay home and contact the doctor.
And still to come, President of the University of St. Martin, Dr. Antonio Carmona Baez, says the 2019 vision of USM has changed. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue with the news at this time, the organizing committee for the 40th annual St. Martin Heineken Regatta is moving fast ahead with their plans for this year's prestigious sailing event. The event, which will officially sail off on Thursday, March the 5th at around 10 a.m., has attracted the participation of some 145 boats from throughout the world. They will be competing in various categories. Robbie Ferran is a co-founder of the Heineken Regatta.
Yes, this is the 40th annual Heineken Regatta, and it's come a long, long way. We had a little dip last couple of years. This year, for the 40th, it's come back very strongly. We have about 145 boats currently entered with some really nice entries. In fact, one fabulous entry class. So the Heineken Regatta is in a very strong position in 2020.
That would bring how many sailors to St. Martin overall?
A lot. I think pretty much as many as can fit in. The problem is getting hotel rooms and getting flights, but it's full. If you take each boat with an average of about 6 or 7 people, and that's work at 140. You can work it out, but there's a lot of support people too who don't actually sail but simply support the teams. So it's a lot. The biggest hurdle is capacity.
This will officially get off to a start as of Thursday. In terms of the different categories, what can you tell us, Mr. Ferran?
Well, we're going to have about 15 or 16 classes. And one of the classes, the what we call the offshore racing, CSA offshore racing class, has got a fantastic lineup of boats that were involved in the Volvo ocean races over the last many years. These are magnificent ocean machines, and there's been numerous generations, but we have a collection of the generations like nobody else has ever had. So we're very, very proud of that particularly. But besides that, we have very strong bareboat classes. We have the cruiser races are very strong. We've got some nice all-out races. We've got some visitors from surrounding islands, and we've got some magnificent multi-hulls. It's looking very, very good.
Any big names to look out for this year?
There are so many big names. It's easier to tell you when we get into the regatta and you'll hear them, but certainly, especially the Volvo ocean boats, they will have all top crew, but in the middle of the regatta, they'll all be known. We don't have them we don't have all the crew lists available yet.
Now, this is all happening at a time that the world is on a coronavirus alert, Mr. Ferran. What's been done to at least safeguard our people as it pertains to the many persons coming here to take part in the Heineken Regatta?
Well, the race organization is focused on race organization, and health is something which is always relatively good out on the water, because transmissions there are going to be relatively little, but the race organization is focused on putting on a good race.
And in other news, the St. Martin Chamber of Commerce and Industry recently had a very fruitful meeting with the Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labor, Pamela Gordon-Carty, regarding the ministry's VSA's change in the labor policy to reduce unemployment on St. Martin. The Chamber recently sent a letter to the minister where it says that it has taken note of various articles in the media, in particular business associations that have expressed their discontent with the aforementioned policy. President of the Chamber of Commerce, Benjamin Ortega, said on Tuesday that the meeting was opened by the minister, who provided background information about the policy change. He thanked the minister for meeting with them and provided some insight into the goal of the meeting, which was to further establish the working relationship to assist within the role of the chamber, giving advice to government and stakeholders. The meeting ended with both parties agreeing to send each other more detailed information and to follow up with a committee meeting to better execute the various actions in working together. One of the founding missions of the University of St. Martin back in 2017, which was implemented by former president of the USM, Dr. Francio Guadalupe, where he was encouraging every household to have at least an associate's degree, current president Dr. Antonio Carmona Baez says that the vision in 2019 has changed and an associate's degree is being less and less appreciated. So their current mission is now looking towards undergraduate and graduate programs.
Well, that is the founding mission, the mission under which former President Guadalupe served here at USM. And that is a value, a vision that we have and hold dearly. However, we've also realized that now in 2019, an associate's degree is being less and less appreciated. So that's why we at USM are looking towards BA programs and MA programs, undergraduate and graduate full programs here. And that's what we're looking forward to now. Our current mission is to serve the community through research and teaching. And wanting to make the university the motor of social economic development on the island. We know that there are a lot of people who talk, politicians, economic leaders, political leaders, that talk about the need for economic diversification on the island. Well, we believe that that diversification just cannot come out of nowhere. We need a think tank for that. And that think tank is the University of St. Martin. So we're looking to training our youth here, exposing them to scientific research, offering them the possibilities to study at the undergraduate and graduate level, all in service to country St. Martin. And I apologize, to the island of St. Martin, because the original purpose of the University of St. Martin is to serve the entire island and populations on both sides, in the French territory as well as in the Dutch territory.
Now turning to our weather forecast, a weak surface trough may cause a few passing showers as it moves across the region. Meanwhile, the loose pressure gradient will maintain light to moderate winds. Slight to moderate seas are expected, with waves peaking up to 6 feet. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, Interim President of Central Bank responds to questions posed by Member of Parliament Claudius Boncamper. We'll have the details of that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
3 attorneys will soon submit a court order on behalf of 37 inmates in the Point Blanche prison. In it, the inmates call on the court to transfer them to safer prisons on Bonaire or in the Netherlands within 7 days of a verdict. In the order, lawyers Gert Hartman, Shaira Bomel, and Shamira Roseburg will call on the court to impose daily fines of $1,000 per prisoner with a maximum of $10 million in the event that the country and the Justice Minister does not comply with the verdict. On February 17, 2020, the 3 lawyers sent a letter to Justice Minister Egbert Doran where they demanded the transfer of prisoners to safer prisons on Bonaire or in the Netherlands within 5 days. Referring to a hostage drama in November 2019 and a stabbing in prison on February 1, 2020, the prisoners claim that they are all in permanent danger. They say there is no hope that this situation will be changed or resolved immediately. They fear that it will only be a matter of time before another violent crime takes place within the limits of the prison. As the prison director was recently fired, the prisoners fear that the anarchy will only increase. And in the Central Committee meeting of Parliament, which was held on Monday, March the 2nd, 2020, incoming Member of Parliament, Mr. Claudius Mancamper, queried interim President of the Central Bank, Mr. Jose Jardim, about the percentage of ownership in the Central Bank. According to the Member of Parliament, it does not benefit St. Martin when we don't have equal shares.
But the Central Bank is owned for 79% by the Curaçao government and 21% by the St. Martin government. If I'm correct, I think I read that on the website. A division that doesn't truly benefit St. Martin when it comes to decision making, because we don't have ownership. We have partial ownership. Why would St. Martin have to stay in such a monetary union when we cannot even decide our own future? And when I look at some of the projections that you have made, the negative contracting of the Curaçao's economy is going to affect the growing of the St. Martin's economy, and I'll come back to why I said that. The other question I have is, are there any plans in the bank how to deal with the negative contraction of the Curaçao economy and what effect this will have on St. Martin exactly? Would the bank consider giving St. Martin a veto right to be able to block decisions that might not be in the best interest of the country? And I think of when you see incidents like the Hero Bank, what happens then? That's why that question. We have total different economies, and you clearly saw it, and you also mentioned that in Curaçao, their economy runs on the refinery, the Venezuela tourism, the airline industry, the financial sector. We run on tourism, basically. 80% of our economy is tourism. I believe Curaçao is 10-15%. How are you going to create economic development that can serve two totally different economies in one monetary union? How do you plan to do that? Maybe you can explain that to us.
An interim president of the Central Bank, CBCS, Jose Jardim, then clarified for Member of Parliament, Mr. Claudius Mancamper, about the 79% share by Curaçao and the 21% share owned by St. Martin.
Referred to the 79% share of Curaçao in the central bank and also the 21%, and MP Mancamper was also referring to the contracting economy of Curaçao and the growing economy in St. Martin. and many other questions were also related to this topic. What we would like to clarify, because we sense that from our presentation, eventually the impression was being created as if an economic growth of 1.1% in St. Martin, whether that's the reference, that's a good target. What we try to emphasize is that even the 1.1% is too low. Actually, you are talking about an economy without yet a problem of aging and so on, which means that you should be prepared for the future. That means that when we look at the St. Martin economy, and that's why we also mentioned in the presentation that both economies are facing structural deficiencies. Returning back to the question then of MP Bunkamper, what is very important for us then to emphasize is that we have two economies which have not really been growing and that are facing major challenges. Those challenges need to be addressed. The central bank has a task in this regard, referring to, for instance, advising the authorities which policies could be implemented to improve the competitiveness of the economies. However, the main focus of the central bank is not the economic one. We have a currency which is pegged to the US dollar. So that means that the main target of the central bank is to keep the peg to the US dollar. So that means that when we were giving the presentation and we highlighted the changes in the monetary policy that included a tightening of the monetary policy, which we are required to do, no matter the fact, for instance, that the St. Martin economy is still in a recovery process, and no matter the fact that the economy of Curaçao is contracting right now.
And still to come, GEBE starts work on restoring lights back on the boardwalk. We'll have the details of that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Hello, St. Martin. My name is Jose Helaga and I play basketball. I have organized basketball events in St. Martin. Sport matters to me because it makes everybody come together in unity. So I challenge the businesses community to step up for sports and help us rebuild and repair our facility. I'm also asking the community to nominate local businesses in your area to take on the challenge and step up for sport because sports matter. Check out the Department of Sports SXM Facebook page for more information. Hashtag Sport Matter, hashtag Are You In?
The long-awaited project to replace the current lights and fixtures on the boardwalk has finally started. On Monday, GEBE workers could be seen on the boardwalk replacing the current light poles and installing the light fixtures on the new poles. There are some 76 new light poles along the boardwalk on which the new light fixtures will be placed. The new LED lights, though they are brighter, are much more efficient and weather-resistant. The new lights are part of a project from the Ministry of Vromi to enhance safety on the boardwalk. In collaboration with the local authorities, some of the lights will be equipped with cameras, which is part of the Community Safety Streetlight Program. Minister of Vromi, Christopher Waver, Patrick Drivers, GEB's Assistant Distribution Manager, and GEBE CEO, Kendrick Chittick, were on hand to oversee the installation of the first 10 lights. I am Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me today. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you back here again.